Katie. Oh my God. Are we really doing this?
We are. Welcome to Higher Downloads, where two moms, entrepreneurs, and spiritual seekers are getting real about doing our best to live life in alignment.
Yeah, and by getting real, we mean the raw, unfiltered voice memo version of ourselves.
And you know what we're really obsessed with lately: higher
hmm
downloads.
You know that moment when clarity arrives seemingly from nowhere? That's it. That's the higher download from your highest self.
Exactly, because we know everyone has the ability to access their own higher downloads. So nothing is off limits here. Everything in the wheel of life, from career, spirituality, motherhood, relationships.
Yep. Everything. And really through the lens of higher consciousness and joy. And we have to share our higher downloads too, right? So grab your coffee
Or your crystals, or whatever you need to have fun with us.
and get ready to tune in to your own wisdom channel because receiving higher downloads means you can live your life in HD.
Higher Downloads starts now. Welcome back to Higher Downloads.
We're so glad you're back.
It's about time.
It's been such a long time since we connected.
How long has it really been, though? Time.
Okay, is time even real?
Is time even real? That is what we're going to talk about today.
It's about time.
It's about time.
It's about time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm so happy, though, that we're here. We're talking about this back in the studio.
We're back live, baby.
I loved it. I loved that clip. So, yay. Okay, time. We really enjoyed kind of pontificating about the different topics between animals have souls. And honestly, like, I feel like that's most of what our voice memos even are.
Yeah, it's not as definitive. It's like us unpacking things.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, we should unpack this with people. And how do we look at things from different angles and stay curious? And time is a big one for me, especially as I started to have my spiritual awakening and you start hearing people say time's not real and time's whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? I have a watch. Like everything I live and die by my calendar and time. And so it's one of the things that's definitely stretched my mind and I've come to understand more. And as I understand more, I have more questions.
More questions. That's fair. And I think why this is so important for us to talk about is that it's not commonly understood. Like this feels a bit niche in the quantum physics, what is reality, questioning the matrix kind of quantum physics illusion. So
Yeah, it's like why I hated sci-fi stuff. It's like why I wouldn't watch it. That movie Memento, it frustrated the heck out of me because the guy like doesn't have his memory and he's putting fragments together and I couldn't follow it. And I remember thinking this was many, many years ago before my evolution. And I remember thinking like, just give it to me in chronological order. You know, like I'm so type A.
so linear of you.
So type A of me. Yeah. So 3D world of you.
Okay, fun. So we're going to talk about time. Time is an illusion. Is it real? Clocks weren't always invented, by the way, but the sun does spin around and we do see time change in that sense of physical gravity and sunlight changing every day. So
we see changes. We see the sun rise and set. We have certain markers of things that we then subjectively put over on time. We have these watches and we have calendars, but like we also know what it feels like to be with a friend and be like, how in the world has 3 hours passed? And then also be like 10 minutes in a meeting and you're like, we're only 10 minutes in. And you're like poking your eye out.
yeah, like watching the clock, especially as a kid, like, oh my gosh, 1 minute has passed. Or when we're in the sauna, especially if I'm in the sauna by myself and I'm like, surely it's been 5 minutes and I look up and it's been one.
Because, yeah, the heat is literally just like trying to get through it.
Yeah. Okay. And why does this even matter? Part of this is I think a lot of us get caught up in the illusion of time in a not beneficial way. So part of this is pontificating, kind of questioning what is some of this premise that is important that's going to help us, and what's some of this that we need to like let go and realize it's just a figment of our imagination to some extent.
Yeah. And actually, I didn't even think about this until just now, but I was just doing a workshop with this group of women. They're all educators in different ways. And they literally kept saying, well, we don't have time. We don't have time. We don't even have time to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, we have the same number of hours in the day as Beyonce and Taylor Swift. And one lady goes, but we don't have $1 billion. And I said, but does $1 billion change if they can go to the bathroom or not? So like we had this whole thing. Anyway, I was just thinking about like, that's a common excuse as I don't have time.
Time scarcity is my huge pet peeve. It drives me absolutely bonkers. And I used to live and die by that too. So it is something that you can shift because time is not scarce.
No.
Okay.
It's abundant.
Time. Whenever you think about time, the first thing, of course, is the saying, like, let's just use that framework. Time isn't real.
Okay.
Let's pull that thread.
Right. And then you're like, well, yes, it is. And then you hear people say, well, the past there's nothing that you can do in the past anymore. And you can't actually do anything in the future. Like, so the only thing you have right now is now. And now.
And right now.
And now, yeah.
Or like just now.
Just now. So the only time that matters is the present.
And that's really tough for some people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of energy and thoughts expended on thinking about the past, thinking about the future. Like the definition of anxiety is thinking about something that hasn't happened yet. That sucks. I experienced that. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But like, it's true. If you're really if you really think about right now is all you can control, it really changes how you spend your time, how you spend your thoughts, and what you're focusing on.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is an exact or it was just a thing, but I did see it on social media. It said 80% of our thoughts live in the past or the future. And yeah, we do have to plan. You want to go on a trip, you have to make a plan. You have to buy plane tickets, you have to do those things. But like, it's fascinating to think about that. It's like, if all we have is the present and the present moment is a gift, as in a present, the play on words, but we spend so much time not in the gift of now, that's like a kind of an eye opener.
Yeah. And I also think it's a bit negligent to be in the mindset of I'm never going to think about the future.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So we're not saying that. It's a balance, but it's maybe it's a proportion and also an intention. Because what I have seen people do to their detriment is think about what might happen, what are worst case scenarios, or what if something goes wrong. That's a negative thought spiral on time. But there's also like, this is coming up and I'm setting this intention and I'm visualizing what I want to create.
What do I want it to feel like and be like? And how do I use now to call that in?
To impact that. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So time is an illusion.
Time is an illusion. It's also one of our biggest excuses, especially in America. I don't know if you're ready to move on, but the one thing that really blew my mind and still, it's like, I get it, but it's hard to like understand it, is everything's happening all at once. Have you heard this?
I have, but this is definitely like a departure. Like time being linear, right? Past, present, future, linear. Now we're saying all at once, like compressing it all. It's actually just happening now all the time.
The only thing we have is now. And so, yeah, hello, like Miss Chronological Type A, like, yeah, I can get past, present, future. I can, all we have is now. And then you have people telling me, well, everything, all the lifetimes you've ever lived are all like happening now. You'll hear people say, if you have a desire, you'll hear spiritual people say, if you have a desire, it's because in another timeline or lifetime, you've had it. So you know it's possible. And that's all happening all at once. And that's how you have that desire. You've heard this,
I
right?
have heard this. Okay. I have, yes. And I don't necessarily disagree or 100% agree. However, I think about different experiences of having past life readings, past life healings.
Yeah.
Having spiritual people tell me stories about past life energies that they're reading, and then I'm resonating with it. And I'm like, I don't know if this is my energy and this is just your visual way of describing it, or if that really happened.
And your soul actually experienced that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is, but either way, I still feel like the truth of that energy is there. Whether it's an actual past life lived out in a different timeline or a chronological past life that happened 100 years ago, 200 years ago,
and like the residual energies there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the energy from your soul, because that soul experienced
Correct.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Does
like,
it matter if can it?
well, it's like, obviously, I know one time I was an Egyptian princess. Do I want to still treat that way? Yes. Look, I think that's the thing that's hard. It's like, I can get to the point where I'm like, I hear you, and I don't have enough evidence to debunk or disagree. But I also, in my own little humanity, like limited whatever, is it so hard to wrap your brain around it because from the second our children were born, were you not logging everything based on time? When they pooped, how much time did they sleep? And then you measured the time in their growth. It's like it literally is from birth. Your birth certificate has your birth time.
Yeah. I actually, when we were going to talk about time, age is one of those things that comes into it for me. Because I've always said when I was 8, I thought about what it would feel like to be 12. And when I was 12, I thought about 16, driving, ooh, and then 18, and then, oh, college and drinking and partying, being 21, and then, oh, getting married. And I had these ideas of what those ages would be like, right? But I've hit a point where I really never visualized all that much beyond past like 27, 28. And so I'm at this point where, and I can understand, like I was just talking to my grandmother who's about to be 90.
Oh,
Nanny. Hi, Nanny. I know you're listening.
Hi, Nanny.
And she was just saying, like, I was kind of asking her, what is it like to have experienced all that time? And she's like, it's wild. I don't feel old. I don't feel like all that time has passed. And so it becomes an illusion as you age. But as a child, so much of it is all that rapid change and all that expectation and progress that happens.
Yeah, the milestones are so much more compressed.
And then it shifts.
And I'll tell people things like, oh yeah, like last month or 2 months ago, whatever. And then my husband's like, you mean 2 years ago? Like, it's like such a weird distortion. We didn't even talk about this as we were thinking about the episode, but COVID really effed with my sense of time.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
And it's almost like I have to almost mark things like pre-COVID, post-COVID a lot. That was a whole...
That's true.
Maybe blip in the matrix, as some people might say.
I think it was. A lot has changed since then. Ideas and everything. So I wouldn't be surprised. Okay.
So back to, so everything might be happening all at once. We're not sure. Are there literal, like, can we take reality and slice it in this way that there are literally, like, you are an Egyptian princess. If we're going to go with the animals have souls, you are also a frog. You are also an oak tree. You're also Katie Showell. You're also Katie Pritchett. And they're all happening like all at once, just on these different time paradigms or whatever. Okay, so that could be a thing. Okay, so so I have questions.
What are your questions?
Well, okay, where it challenges me is we talked a little about this in the animal episode about like karmic links are learning, or a soul coming to learn more, experience different type of humanity or whatever. So if it's all happening all at once, then how is my soul carrying the lessons? Like I really still want to plot it on chronological order. Like it's...
Yeah, how are you carrying it around if it's happening at the same time? And then how do you explain our human experience where we see generations, right? We do see our grandparents and that they have experienced it. I kind of lean towards that it's a little bit of both. So I actually this is just from my own thoughts, experiences, little nuggets from what I've felt, is I do think there is physical reality, right? Like, I can pinch you, you can pinch me, like we are matter.
Don't you do that right now. Don't you do it.
Like that is real, and that is happening linear. Like, I think we can all agree. We have that shared experience on this very limited physical plane.
We have a shared experience of being able to be in as physical matter in time and space together.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do think there are other timelines. Like, I think that when we have a dream or a vision and like, okay, this energy that I'm in, I'm creating a timeline based on that energy. And then we talk about elevating your energy to manifest a different timeline, whether it's more money, a different house, a relationship, whatever. It's like, I think there are timelines, and then depending on your energy, where you're operating is where you're going to match reality at that point.
That you can shape reality. And I think that's where I struggle, right? I still want to believe in free will and that we have the ability to affect the future. And so the idea of manifestation and the idea of being able to do it. And I think Abraham Hicks talks about like everything all at once, all possibilities exist in the vortex all at once. So it's almost like I can better wrap my head around all possibilities exist all at once. And then you choose at some point. Is that kind of where you're headed about you get to
the laws of attraction exist. The laws of the universe, I'll say broadly, including the law of attraction. But the laws of the universe, I believe, exist.
Yep.
And physical matter exists. And then my question still remains about this carrying around souls of past lives and those energies.
Right. Yeah. That one we might just have to put in a pin in. But I did on the telepathy tapes, I remembered this this beautiful nonverbal human was able telepathically to then share this with his teacher. I think his name was Asher. But he actually told her, because she was struggling with reincarnation, which is so beautiful, right? And he told her to look at a carnation flower. Like if you think about how those petals all fold in on each other. And he said that each petal represents an incarnation of a soul, of a human body in a life. But we're all wrapped up in this ability. And so all things are affecting each other all at once. And so like you might have multiple petals in the flower. I'm really not doing it justice. But it was cool because he talked about a carnation and then incarnation, and I don't know. So something about that visualization of the flower is like stuck in my mind of like, so some things can simultaneously exist, or can you hop time, like, you know?
Ooh, okay, yes. And what if it's more like, we always talk about we have angels or guides or whatever, right? And that we feel like maybe those messages from those guides are slightly different, not like on a completely different wavelength, but like just a little bit more specific. So like imagine you come and you're the petal and you have those guides around you or the other petals. And maybe it's not necessarily your direct linear soul's experience, but they're sharing information with you and energy with you. And it's like a collective experience. We talked about with Stephen about the collective energies.
Yeah, and that's happening for sure. We know that that's happening in the collective conscience. So I could see maybe that's, and that's always the question about past life regression, right? Is like, did I pick up on another soul's experience or a collective, something in the collective consciousness that helps me then tell the story and make sense? Because we're meaning making machines. So it's like, how do we do that? Okay.
You know what's really weird?
Yeah.
Deja vu.
My gosh. And it happens. It happens. You've felt it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Plenty throughout my life. Not like a lot, but.
What were you told as a child that it was? I wonder if we have the same.
I can't say I've ever had an explanation. Yeah. Were you given something specific?
I was just told that if you're deja vu, you've experienced it before, or you've experienced it in a dream before. But then I was like, okay, how? Yeah. But now I wonder okay, so I have several things going on in my head at once. I would love to tell a story about me as a childhood memory. I do have this like whole thing in my head about observation theory that I'm saying this out loud so I don't lose my train of thought, because that whole thing of like all possibilities exist until observed. And then I have this thing that I can't get out of my head about Michelle Obama. So Michelle Obama and Barack Obama had this like famous joke that they then told. They had a private conversation, but then they've shared since then. And President Michelle, they were at some place and she saw a man she used to date. And Barack jokingly, if you heard this, he says to her, God, could you only imagine what your life would have been like if you had married him? And without missing a beat, she said, yeah, he would have been the president.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Spicy.
Yeah. So and so basically she's saying like she always knew she would be like, her soul was destined to be first lady, to have that level of influence or whatever. And so like, it just so happened that he vibrated on a certain frequency and he became the president, like that it wasn't him. And I just love that. But that comes into that observation theory about all possibilities exist until you match with a certain timeline.
And what's really influencing outcomes, right? Like that's a big piece of it. Is if you think just like linearly about Barack Obama, the idea would just be he alone is on his way in life and to become president, having no influence from Michelle, who's around him 24/7. directly influencing everything is
Uh-huh.
information. And like, yeah, that alone, like zoom out, that's that collective energy sharing. And I love that because it's so true. She absolutely helped direct and feed and motivate and have an influence over that.
Huge influence.
Yeah.
And it's just, you think about, there's all these sayings like you are the collective of the top 5 people you hang out with,
Yes.
or things like that.
That is true.
And we know that. We know this as
Yeah.
parents who influences our children, right? Like there's no doubt of cause and effect. Like we
Yes.
see it happen. And we know everything's energy. So obviously it is, all the particles, all the things are hitting all at once. So real quick, I've mentioned observation theory. Have you heard, right?
Observation theory is where they do that test with the atoms that go through the machine, and then they behave one way when they're not being observed, and then they behave a different way when they are scientifically studied over and over and over and over again.
Over and over again, tested in labs, specifically when a human observes what the atoms are doing, they act in a very different way than if no one is observing and they can see what they did without it. Yeah.
And that would be that they don't watch, they see the pattern that gets spit out on the wall at the end versus when you do watch the pattern.
Yeah, if they go through a slit, it's like a whole thing about the slit. Then the idea, so pull that thread, the idea is that all possibilities are existing until you give it your attention, until you give it some effort, until you give it some energy. And then what energy are you meeting it with? What's frequency that you're bringing, abundance or scarcity? And then that impacts what those atoms and molecules and particles are doing. And that's sort of the basis of that I understand about manifestation. And that's the basis of the things that I believe. So I'm very mindful now to mind my mind and what are my thoughts and all those things, because there is a certain reality that I would like to affect in my future. So then that matters with time, because it makes me feel like I can use the now, the present, to affect the timeline of the future.
Yeah. Because what benefit are you even getting if you are focused on the past or worrying about the future?
You don't get to direct those particles in a certain way.
Yeah.
Or they only repeat a pattern from the past.
They only repeat a pattern.
Well, I don't know. I'm just playing with this idea. Yeah. If your energy and attention and focus is on the past, wouldn't then the energy and particles just do the same thing they've always done?
Yeah. The same energy, objects, emotions stay in motion. Yeah. If you continue with the same patterns, like you're going to end up with the same result, right? What is it? The definition of insanity is
keep doing the same thing
over and over again, expect a different outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for our own benefits, it's important to understand these laws of the universe and what choices are we making every day when we think about that.
Yeah, and I'm a self-proclaimed cycle breaker, so I want to change the future.
That's right.
Yeah.
Set the motion. So you said a couple things about the past. Can we change the past? Can we change the future?
Okay. So we just talked about we believe we can change the future or influence it.
Yes, that I feel like I've done enough scientific experiments on my own life.
Subscribe. Can we change the past? I think there are contemporaries who will say yes. There are people that say no. And then there are people, I think, who are like, well, it's all happening all at once, so why not?
It's kind of like the whole, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, did it happen? Was there a sound?
Did it make a sound?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I guess that's the whole thing about our now is everybody's having so many different experiences in the now, right?
In the now.
Like you're believing one thing, I'm believing another. We've seen this on the social medias and the political sphere, right? Like there's so many different realities that people are experiencing.
Yeah. There are people who didn't even believe January 6th happened, but because of their steady media diet.
Yeah. And then even just think about there are people on the other side of the world sleeping right now.
There are. And I work in places where time zones are real. And when I travel, it's so weird to call home and be like, dang, you're eating dinner already? Because I'm on the West Coast, and I'm like, and then I have to be like, wait, am I actually hungry? Or did I just condition my body because I looked at the clock and the clock tells me it's not dinner time? Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting?
It is. It really is.
Okay. I'm going to go back to deja vu.
Okay.
I want to tell a little story.
Story time.
I voice memoed it to you, and I hope I can do it justice. If you need to remind me of anything, please do. It's very vulnerable because it feels weird. It feels like I feel like one of those conspiracy, like do 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 sci-fi. Okay. So I've shared with our community multiple times that I grew up in a volatile household and abusive father and emotionally immature mother and just things like that. Okay. Well, I have this distinctive memory as a child that I never told anybody this memory, but there was a particularly hard, volatile, abusive time that was happening. And I remember as a child, like withdrawing and kind of hiding and stuff. And then I wanted to self-soothe. So I went to the freezer to get a popsicle. It's seared in my memory and I get really emotional about it. But I remember going in and grabbing the popsicles and they were like those kinds in the plastic sleeves or I have to tear them off. Like, I mean, I can just see the whole thing, and I really wanted a certain color red. So I'm like ripping the orange and the blue apart to get to the red. And it was like I paused with the popsicles in my hand and I could sense a presence, like an energy, an angel, if you will, like some literal presence. And I was alone in this laundry room area. And I remember being like, I grew up very Catholic. And so we went to Our Lady of Fatima Church and there's this beautiful mosaic above the altar of Mary appearing in Fatima to 3 children. And so that was a thing in my head. And I remember thinking like, Mary? Like, is Mary appearing to me? And almost like trying to see her, squinting to see her. I didn't see anything with my real eyes or third eye, but there was no mistaking this presence. And when I started to give the presence my attention, it was like very motherly. It almost like felt like it was wrapping me in and it was like, you're going to be okay. Like, it's okay, my child. It was a soothing thing because I was not soothed. It was a hard moment. I was trying to self-soothe with a popsicle. And it just, in the instant that it happened, it was done. And I remember thinking, I will never tell anyone that Mother Mary appeared to me. But it was like my special feeling. All these years, I've had this sort of special relationship with like Mother Mary, even when I'm thinking through deconstruction of my religion and things like that. Well, I shared with you that in a meditation, I wasn't even thinking about this. I wasn't actually trying to think at all because of meditation. I had this insane drop in, and it's so hard to describe because when things just happen to you, right, on the spiritual plane, it just dropped in like that whole vision. Oh, back up. I've done a lot of inner child healing. I've done a lot of healing around my parents and a lot of the cycle breaking and a lot of things. And I had some really fascinating energetic things that have been happening on the parental realm lately. And so in meditation, this whole scene dropped in and I was back in the freezer as the child, but I felt the presence and it was me. It wasn't Mother Mary, it was Mother Katie. Like I get so emotional and I'm like, oh my God, it was me. And I don't know how to describe it, Katie. I know it as green as the grass, as sure as the sky is. Like of anything I know, like it was like, oh my God, that was me appearing to little me saying, you're going to be okay. Wow. I'm bringing this and like, I got you. It wasn't like, it was me. And I don't know how to describe that. But now my understanding of time, and you said affect the past. I'm like, I don't know if I can affect the past, but somehow.
But you kind of did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because oh my God. Okay. Yes. So I can think of like 2 different analogies that like paint this clear as day. It's the same. I feel, and I'm having a little bit of deja vu. Maybe we already had this conversation
probably
about the Harry Potter scene.
Yes,
where they do the time travel with the necklace, and then in that scene he's like dying, and then the Pegasus thing, whatever it's called, Patronus. There you go. Shows up and he thinks he's being saved, but then later when he's traveled back in time, he's saving himself, right? I mean, I know, crying. Love that scene. But it's such an important message. And, people talk all the time about inner child healing and talking about literally going back to your old self, journaling, putting yourself in that presence and like nurturing and loving that child. And like this idea that you literally went in different timelines to connect and soothe yourself as a child. And then that I'm sure that impact brought you comfort throughout your growing years after. Like it's the exact same visual. It's incredible. It's such
It
a
is
cool,
very Harry Potter, like in that
yeah.
sense, you're right. That's a really helpful pop culture like visual around it. But yeah, Katie, I can't tell you how many times I've done like intentional inner child healing, like where I would speak to her, I would have journal prompts about like what would I have told myself in those moments and whatever. But what was wild about it dropping in was I wasn't actively doing it then. It was almost like in
Right.
this moment of stillness, my guides or whatever gifted me this knowing of that was you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see it's not that in that moment you did it. It's in that moment you realized
It's in the moment I
of all the
realized,
work you had done. Because at this point, this is after you've kind of broken the cycles. This is
yeah,
after you've
for sure.
really done a lot of the work
Yeah.
and broken some of those energy chains.
And seeing some of the fruits of that labor, like
Yeah.
seeing that I have affected I have skipped a timeline, if you will. I have influenced, have chosen it. So yeah, I mean, just like constant full body chills on it. It just brings me to tears. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I had me, like adult me had me, like, wow. So can I explain it chronologically or can I explain it scientifically? No. And embodied now, I'm like,
And
okay, time is an illusion.
yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for holding the space. It's hard to like say it and then not judge in the moment of like, this sounds so weird.
How does it feel now?
I am so curious to hear how it's landing for other people, especially if anyone's had like to do any inner child healing. I'm so curious about it and it feels beautiful to kind of own it in the public space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
It is a really cool example. It's one of those things that once you kind of drop into some of these ideas about how does the world work and why do these things not make sense? And then you have an example like that and you're like, well, I don't know exactly, but I know this is true, you know? And I know that, like the jumping timelines, right? Or folding timelines is another one that we talk about a lot, right? It's more on the manifestation train.
Collapsing timeline?
Yeah. Yeah. But like once you do it, you're like, well, all I know is that it feels very real.
Right. Like, okay. So, and that's the thing, right? We are experiential beings. So if we experience it, then it all of a sudden, like, you're like, I don't know if I need the explanation. It's real to me. And it reminds me, you mentioned sleep at one point. Have you ever had a dream that you woke up and you swore was real?
Yes. Some.
Like
Not all of them.
I've had dreams where I like Paul and I got in a fight or something, or he did something in my dream and I'd like wake up mad at him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and even some that just make no sense but still felt really real too.
Oh yeah.
I think sleep is the weirdest thing because you just literally it's like lights out. It's like shutting the computer down. 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, however many hours you're sleeping, like that's a long time.
Yeah.
That you're just laying there like out, turned off in La La Land, like nobody questions this. What are we doing when we're sleeping? I don't know. It's so weird.
It's so crazy. And this is probably a different topic, but we can just throw a little breadcrumb out there. People who astral project, people who do that, like get out of their body, right? Well, I think we can do it. We just have to practice.
I just haven't yet.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think dreaming is.
You think it is?
I think dreaming is a part of astral projection.
I can see it definitely is energy processing, like, because as we know, we analyze our dreams, so there's a piece of it. But I guess in astral projection, my understanding is that it's literally being present with, like, you're cognizant while you're literally physically traveling around. Like, there are people that say that there are, whatever, if this is total. There are government documents. Again, I sound very suspicious.
Well,
to say
Tom Campbell has some really cool stuff out there about government.
Yes. Supposedly, there's literally people like in Antarctica astral projecting to protect it, like from the government, like stuff like that. It's like we're talking about a guy whose body is somewhere else in another country. Like that's when I think of astral projection. That's what I think of.
Okay.
But I could see that it's layered.
I mean, it's just so, I just like, I could nerd out on this like all day and it's like just insatiable for me. I'm like, okay, we've got the conscious, we've got the subconscious, we've got the superconscious, we've got the ego, we have our souls, we have this, we have that. And it's like, it's that gif of Charlie from It's Always Sunny Out There. He's like on the whiteboard, like, and it's like, I just like make it make sense. Like, I want to believe it, like, but help me connect it. And I don't know, maybe that's just part of the wrestling
It
limitations as a human.
I think it is part of our forgetting and part of our remembering.
Part of our remembering.
And part of this fun experiment of higher downloads as we tap in and tune in and learn more and more and trust the energies and not so much just blindly only looking at the material. I think it's a fun piece to try to pontificate and piece out.
It really is. And so I just use it, right? So to the limitation that I have of an understanding, now I feel like I orient to time differently.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, I think about that all the time when people at work in the material world, they always talk about time scarcity. I don't have enough time for that. I'm too busy, whatever.
And they don't want to work 40 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's too long.
Right. Yeah. It's a fun combo. But the reality is we know flow state, right? Flow state, you can get so much more done if you're in alignment and harmony and interest and flow. But isn't that a weird concept that like you really can get so much more done, and then other days when you're not in flow state, it's pulling teeth just to try to get yourself to do one thing on the to-do list.
It's wild. I mean, and I used to be a just procrastinator like crazy because I realized I was in this like pushing and toxic resilience and shooting myself and shaming myself into certain things. And when I can honor what energy I have and when I can honor the things that are doing, the things that I don't even like doing get checked off so much faster. And it is important. This is an episode on time. So we need to talk about Chronos and Kairos. Kairos. Thank you. Kairos. Kairos and Chronos. Chronos is chronological time watch that we've started to measure in our humanity. And Kairos from like the Greek god, like Kairos, like the idea that like flow state exists. The only time we have is now. And so like when you get lost in your paintings or people are binge watching or whatever, like whatever it is, but you're lost in that flow of something that's enjoyable and you're doing it. And then the measurement of the ticking of time doesn't matter because the joy and the existence is all that mattered.
And let's be real, when we talk about Chronos time, chronological, I have 1 hour, I'm going to crank this out, I'm going to force myself to do it. That's energy depleting versus Kairos time of flow state. That's energy giving. Then you want to keep going. You want to do more because you're so energized by that feeling. And then that's a different state of time.
Yeah. And I remember hearing about this and I was in such toxic resilience that I thought that was almost impossible in my adult life. I literally felt like I remember like, well, that must be fun to be so happy and in flow. Tell me more.
So I thought what you were going to say is that you wanted to achieve it so you could do more.
No, I literally was like, oh, that must be cute.
Like that's impossible.
And now I organize things in that way. I've gotten clear on my circadian rhythm. I've gotten clear. And look, sometimes just stuff happens, Yeah. And sometimes there's just a lot out of your control and like unexpected things come up. But like to the extent that I can influence being in flow state when I attack my like to-do list. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and for me, when we talk about like the 80-20 freedom formula, right? Not trying to force yourself to do more than you're capable of, force yourself to do more than you have energy for. And ultimately, when I think about how do I curate my day or my week, it's how can I give myself what I need so that I have the energy to do the flow state work and be efficient with that time. I can do so much more with that. And then also build in that time for relaxation, for rest, for centering, for alignment. Make sure I'm aligning to my values with all of my choices so that doing the actual work, the 20% deliverables, is effective.
100%. It's just like, I think now I think about that around, ain't nobody got time for that. Like, I don't have time to sleep. I don't have time to rest. And I'm like, I don't have time not to do that.
Time not to do it.
Like my rest is the critical ingredient for the flow state.
And fun.
The whimsy. Yes. We've brought all kinds of whimsical fun. Yeah, and I think that stuff just gets really stripped out in a patriarchal, capitalistic society where production or what we produce is what we believe we're worth. And that's the part that has really allowed people or forced people into these boxes of how they use time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Time. Well, it's probably time we wrap this up.
So many things we feel clear on, which I love. And I
Yeah.
feel like we have over the years really pontificated a lot of this and tried to reset and reframe based on laws of the universe and energy and just having joy in life and what we know that's going to create for ourselves. So we do still have a lot of questions though, a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that are just so hard to wrap your mind around. But
So maybe we blew your mind today, or maybe expanded it, or maybe you're shouting as you're listening to this, going, also, don't forget about that. And if you are, reach out. I feel like we're going to start to revisit certain topics. But this one's just a fascinating one to unpack. And thank you for letting us share more about what we've learned and where our questions still are. Until next time, trust your higher downloads.
you just experienced another higher download. We are so grateful you joined us on this journey.
Yep. So if you're feeling that high vibe energy and want more, subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode.
And if this episode sparks something in you, we'd be over the moon if you'd share it with someone who might need this download too.
Yep. Connect with us on Instagram at Higher Downloads, where we share more behind the scenes magic and some bonus content.
You can also find full episodes, transcripts, show notes, and resources at higherdownloads.com.
Until next time, trust your downloads and keep vibrating higher.